All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Associated Guests. I am your host, Alfie Animus, here at the Bear in Mind channel. Today, Tim Walz basically continues the spiral. Let's watch.
New details about the magnitude of the alleged Minnesota welfare fraud surface. Oh boy, he massively fucked up.
We're learning new details about.
And you always see this. Oh God, is that Tommy Lauren? Yeah. It looks like her. Like she just had her face pressed. And you ever seen House of Wax? Anyway, this always happens with the biggest tryhards in any party. It's always the ones who have the most to hide. Look, and everyone knows I got no big love for the two presidential candidates in these past election. I will say you can say a lot about J.D. Vance, but the man can take a joke and run with it. Yet people keep trying to get him with the him being fat with the long curly hair memes. Tim Walz, on the other hand, is basically, imagine if Jim Gaffigan had a pedophile uncle. That's the vibe I get from Tim Walz. And there's just, I have no good feelings. I felt the same way about Joe Biden when he was running with Obama. When Obama picked his vice president, I was like, what do you got, McCain? Palin? Hell no. All right, Obama it is. I don't know what it is, but most VP picks are god awful, especially when picked for the wrong reason. I don't know. I keep hearing all these rumors that what's the small face dude? Charlie Kirk. I apologize. I know he just died recently, but I can't help myself. He did. He had a tiny face. I do too. I have a large head and a tiny face. Not quite as tiny as his, but yeah, like Vance, at the very least, for what the Republicans were going for, was a solid pick. I can't think of I don't know what Al Gore did when Clinton was president, except for cover the White House when Clinton was on Epstein Island, apparently, which hurts. Because he's from where I'm from, and it's hurt. But that being said, Tim Walz is just, I've never understood the appeal. I really thought Kamala Harris should have gone with Shapiro out of Pennsylvania. But, I mean, we can be honest. It wouldn't have been a good look considering all the anti-Semitic attacks that had happened, propagated by bunch of college liberals, and when your movement is Free Palestine, whether you agree with it or not the best look to have someone who's considered a Zionist for your VP pick. So she went with Walz of all people. There were plenty of choices, but let's face it, Newsom wasn't going to settle for anything less than the actual presidency. There's a lot of gravity happening behind where I'm sitting. Somehow I feel Nuke from Nuke's Top 5 saying, "Did you see it?" But let's continue.
The magnitude of Minnesota's massive welfare fraud. Federal authorities say could total over $9 billion.
That's a lot of money.
Fraud is not small. It isn't isolated. The magnitude cannot be overstated. What we see in Minnesota is not a handful of bad actors committing crimes.
It's all bad actors.
A staggering.
I mean, it's a big hand.
Everybody's a bad actor.
Fraud.
Yep.
It's swamping Minnesota and calling into question everything we know about our state.
One thing real quick. Look here. Look how jovial this person talking is, and look how much of sourpuss as everyone else is. It's like, this is the guy that found it, and these are the guys he found in it. Especially this guy. Either this guy must have just like farted or something. That's the only other reason I can see this guy being so happy and everyone else just sitting there. I'm not going to say that. Okay, continue.
everything we know about our state.
It's just odd.
But Tim Walz and his administration are pushing back, saying there was only a little bit of fraud.
What you're seeing here is you're seeing a weaponization. We'll continue to fix it. They're going to continue to come up with numbers that don't have it there, and it's sensationalized. I don't expect anything different from this administration.
The evidence that we have indicates
Okay,
tens of millions.
I'll say this. So sue them. So sue them. Take a page out of Trump's book and sue them for slander or libel or whatever, whether depending on the publication. Sue them. You can do it. If people are actively lying on you, inflating numbers, it doesn't even matter. Sue them. It's very doable. I mean, if it's true, you can definitely afford the lawyers. Anyway.
Billions of dollars in fraud. There isn't a final number at this
Bro,
point.
look at him. Look at you did it, man.
Yeah, no, that's definitely
Just look
guilt
at
face.
him. That's all you got to do. You 100% fucked up. It's so obvious. Exactly. He knows he's cooked. Look at that, guys. This is supposed to be the governor. This is embarrassing.
Dollars in fraud. There isn't a final number at this point, but we don't have evidence to suggest.
He's used to that motion, putting bribe money in his vest pocket like that. He's definitely used to that motion. That might not be what was in that envelope, but it's been several envelopes before this.
That level of fraud or a $9 billion number.
Jesus.
But Governor Walz can't hide from this.
Let us not forget. Let us not forget. Now, while I don't like my president saying words like retard, okay, it was hilarious. We can be honest about this, but at the same time, his reaction to it was even better. He's being accused of all this fraud. It seems like it's true. Everything I've looked at so far very much seems like it's very true. And not just him, but many of the state representatives are involved. Including but not limited to Ilhan Omar. Oh my God. But yeah, no. And he's done. He's cooked. If he gets through this, I'm just saying, look, I don't care who's pulling these people out. I don't care if it's the left pulling out corruption on the right or the right pulling out corruption on the left, or how about let's try this, pulling out corruption in both parties to prove that you actually mean it. God, I hate Tommy Loren's face. I can't stand this person. And especially now that she's gotten even faker, since she went on her whole tirade. I think she went on The View and was talking about how awful men in her generation are. I'm just like, is it just the men? Like, I don't doubt that people that the guys where you're from are awful, or the guys in your dating circle are awful. But if it's all of another gender, like same with the guys that say it's all women. Is it though? Is it really? Like, come on, dude. Like, maybe eat a few less Cheetos. But when it comes to this, it's a bucket of attitude and fake hair. I mean, come on.
This story as House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer is investigating the scandal and is determined to uncover the truth.
He's going to have to answer questions about the billions.
Hold on, listen to that sentence she just said.
He's going to have to answer questions.
Oversight Committee Chair.
Don't listen to what she's saying, but listen to her like as she says it out. It's just it's an unnatural way to speak. Hold on, listen.
Can't hide from this story as House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer is investigating the scandal and is determined to uncover the truth.
It doesn't seem like a natural flow of a sentence. I'm sorry.
He's going to have to answer
It might just be because I
about
can't
the
stand this
billions,
person.
Not millions, not hundreds of millions, billions of dollars of fraud that we see wasted in Minnesota.
Yep.
And the fact that, according to state whistleblowers, state employees in Minnesota, most of
One of the comments I saw, it said, imagine buying $1 million house. Now, imagine being able to do that 9,000 times. That's how much fraud we're talking about. I'm like, Jesus.
whom are Democrats. They allege that they alerted both Governor Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison about this fraud, and they did nothing about it because they didn't want to offend that massive Somali population.
I think that's...
And we have to stop doing this. We have to stop. Look, 100%, a lot of communities in America and across the world have suffered a lot of indignities for nothing but the color of their skin or what they believe in or whatever, okay? But you cannot. I don't give a fuck. If you're guilty, you're guilty. If you're not guilty, you're not guilty. The government is lazy. They will be lazy in one direction, prosecuting everyone who they believe is guilty or what have you, and they will put forth more effort to let that happen than they would have to just do it outright in the first place. Or they're guilty in the other direction. They'll either prosecute everybody or they'll let everybody off, for the most part. And that's just sheer laziness. Look, I don't like the prison state. I think there should be a lot of prison reform. Also, there should be a lot of, I don't know any better way to say it, so I'm just going to say it the way I want to say it. Nut farms. There should be better nut farms. Looney bins, whatever. Nut farm kind of sounds like that Minotaur milking farm. I don't want to say that. But there should be a lot of reform in that. But you cannot let a whole community off the hook just because they, your grandparents were horrible racists, or people who look like that have had such and such happen at some point. You can't. All you can do is build in that community, try to educate, do your best to make it up to them personally by giving them the tools to make their lives better. You fucking retards, okay? I get so sick of this shit. And this isn't just me being, pale and pasty and being jealous of all that because other people get away with all kinds of stuff. I don't give a fuck. If you actually wanted equality, and this is me talking to, white people who are making these laws and other elites of other races who are making these laws, it does not justify letting all these people off the hook. Tim Walz says, or this guy just said that Tim Walz was told about this months ago. And he didn't want to say anything because he didn't want to offend that community. Who gives a fuck? Right is right and wrong is wrong. The laws are there. You cannot defraud a state government for $9 billion, you lunatic.
It's true. I believe that.
I mean, clearly you can, and you'll get away with it scot-free because Tim Walz is too big of a pussy to say anything about it because he doesn't want to offend people. And then he'll get offended himself when he's called a retard for letting this kind of thing go under his watch. I do not understand.
I do.
Would I say the same thing for a Republican? Someone asked. Yes. Send me the video of this kind of thing being exposed for a Republican, and I will 100% call them retards. That's what I do here. I like to talk about retards and how they're retarded and how them being retarded makes me feel, which the answer to that question is slightly less retarded.
I think that's clearly what's happening here. Is that they don't want to offend these people. They don't want to come off and be seen as racist or targeting the community.
Exactly.
So because of that, they're just afraid of addressing it. I think
it's not targeting the community. Now, if you were going in and just arresting every single person on the way to get to this person, or you arrested someone randomly because all they said was, oh, he's a Somali, and then you just arrested like 9 Somalis, just the first 9 that you saw or something. Sure, that's horrible and that's racist and, whatever. But if you do your research and find the people who are committing all of this fraud, arrest them. I don't care if they're white, black, Asian, male, female, straight, gay, trans or, you know, not trans. I don't care if they're committing big crimes. I don't care so much about small crimes. I only care about violent crimes and large amounts of defrauding that takes money away from people who actually need it. Now, one can argue, but Alfie, who cares? They're just taking from a bunch of dipshits who are going to pretty much put the money in their own pocket anyway. And to that, I will say, well, then we should arrest those people too, if we have the information to arrest them for also defrauding it and putting it in their own pocket, as you saw Tim Walz with the envelope earlier. Wild speculation on my part, but, you know, it's fun for me.
That's exactly what's going on.
Guy, this to me, if there was ever an investigation
Yeah.
to
Oh
be
my God,
had,
shut up,
and
Tommy Lloyd.
Republicans were ever going to take time to investigate anything, I would say this would probably be it. And I don't think Minnesota is where it should stop. I think Minnesota is where it should start, because I have a feeling many other states, we could probably uncover some billions with the B. But I know you and I both saw it.
Yeah, she's completely right.
About this
Plenty of this
massive
shit.
welfare fraud in general and SNAP fraud.
I agree, and I don't care if it's a blue state or a red state or a purple state or any other color state. This amount of fraud needs to stop. There is no reason that career politicians, especially people like Nancy Pelosi and that guy with the turkey neck from fucking Kentucky who's a Republican, I can't think of his name because I don't care. There is no reason that they should come out of office, or Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's another one. There is no reason that these people should come out of office wealthy. Ilhan Omar is another one. She was broke when she became a senator, allegedly, and now she's worth millions of dollars. Nancy Pelosi's stock portfolio looks better than, what was it, Ted Nugent's? Get the fuck on. There's no way that someone is that lucky. It's because she knows, and she has her husband put in the bids, she knows that her decisions on certain things have certain effects on certain companies.
I mean, it spans a lot of different categories, right? But if you break down the numbers, I think we saw a real staggering one about how much money we're actually being robbed of in this country.
Yeah, I mean, you can go through any of the numbers, actually. Starting just in Minnesota, it seems like what we're hearing from the governor there is, oh, the Republicans are making up numbers. No, this was a federal prosecutor after a very in-depth.
Well, I mean, was it fucking? Did they steal the money or not?
I don't care if it's a Republican or a Democrat. All I care is, one, did it actually happen? And two, let's lock these motherfuckers up. I don't care. I don't care. I do not care. I don't care who's in the Epstein files, Republican or Democrat. Let's face it, independents can't get into those parties, but I don't care. Throw them all away. I do not care. I don't care if it's the head of organizations or anything. I don't care. I want them gone. Because there's got to be someone in each of those boardrooms who wasn't invited to the party. We all know Steve didn't go. Put Steve in charge of the company. Or at least have him run it until we find someone better.
Like, what are we doing here?
Substantial investigation into the what he called industrial scale fraud.
I think there's frauds, bad, obviously, business due to negligence. It's not like he directly handled the money. It was on his tenure. What I think happened is that I think this fraud was like, this is my guess. And again, I could be wrong about this, but this is the way I think these people operate, is that this fraud was consolidated around probably a majority Somalian group, and they didn't want to go after them because they thought that it would damage their relations with that community, that racial community in their area, and they were afraid of doing that because it might look bad. So basically, they probably categorized criticism and the pursuance of addressing the fraud with kid gloves or with no gloves at all. They didn't even try. And I think that's what happened. I think that and you're right that there's fraud that happens everywhere, and it's not like this is some like unique thing that happened.
Probably one of the
because
biggest
they're
examples,
Somali.
though.
I think there's plenty of white people committing fraud too, but in this circumstance, I do think that's
Yeah,
what
there
happened.
is. This guy right
because
here.
You've seen
He's
how
part of
hard
it. He
they
was
go
probably
to try
getting
to
a throwback.
justify, like high levels of like welfare And, you know, you've got the mayor there in wherever the fuck that is, Dearborn, Michigan, going out there speaking in Somalian. Like, I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, it's very obvious they're trying to court these people as voters. And I think that's the primary focus they have. That's what they're doing. It's completely niche because of the amount of scams. By no means is it an excuse. They're cowards and complicit allowing it to happen. No, I'm just explaining why I think it happened. It just seems like people are really pissed off because it's Tim Walz.
He's giving them too much
it actually
credit.
happened. Thank you, fraud is bad. Well, the problem why they're mad at Tim Walz is, number one, like, he's well known because he just ran for vice president, and so he has a high profile. And the other reason is because Minnesota has this unique problem of a completely unassimilated culture of people that are Somalian primarily, that have a different religion. They don't speak the same language. They look different, and that does matter. Of course, people are going to notice that. And also, they want to, in a lot of cases, bring their like tribal conflicts from Somalia and make decisions for voting in America because of that.
Hey, what's going on?
And then you listen to their translated speeches from, you know, their language into American language, and they're more right-wing than we are, but only whenever it comes in regards to their own country. So it's interesting that they are...
And that is the funny thing. Like, a lot of these, I won't understand why the left wing takes up for Islam so much, just because there are far more, I don't know if puritanical is probably the right word, but they are much more heavy on their religious zealotry than just about any Christian I've ever seen, even the Westboro Baptist Church. Say what you want about the Westboro Baptist Church. I mean, they'll protest all kinds of things and say horrible things and have horrible signs and just be horrible, despicable, disgusting people. But at least they don't throw people off rooftops. Have you noticed a lot of people are dying lately? Yeah, a lot of people are. I saw one person got in a car wreck. I can't remember who it was. Some famous person got in a car wreck. One of the guys from the new Stephen King's It movie, the one that had the the grown-up one who got stabbed by the bully in the shower or whatever it was. He just overdosed, I think. He was like 45. He was just a few years older than me. No, it's crazy. But, I mean, it's not unlike any other year. I mean, it is weird that it's more young people than usual. But, I mean, you know, it's what happens when you put this kind of stuff out there. Yeah, I saw that Lamar Wilson killed himself. That was sad. I didn't really care much for his content, but it just wasn't my kind of thing. He was beloved by a lot of his fans. I saw one of the tech guys I watch posted about it. He's been around a long time, man. And he was beloved by his fan base. I don't know what he did. I know he did a few unboxings. I saw a couple of the tech ones he did. But beyond that, I didn't have much interest. But yeah, it was sad. Like I said, he seemed like a hell of a guy, but he was a little too PBS for my taste. But it's usually how it is. Most of the guys who are on those shows, like all the kids shows and all the, the people who seem really, really happy when they're on screen. I mean, it's a good examples like the Evanescence video. I can't remember which one, but you know the one I'm talking about if you're a fan. The one where she's like on all the commercials and all that, but in real life she's just miserable and but no, it's terrible. I loved his collab with I like Dashy. He's loud. I can't listen to him all the time, but no, I've heard like people are saying like, what, is Dashy okay? Because I guess he hadn't posted anything since it happened. Because I watch a lot of people who have worked with Dashy, but no, I hope Dashy's okay too. This probably took a hit on him.
Massive nativist nationalists whenever it comes to Somalia, but they come over to America and they want us to be this completely open democratic society where everybody's the same. Yeah, I mean, that's really what happened. I mean, and again, and their own values, they don't even reflect their own values.
No, definitely. I definitely I absolutely understand that. And I would probably do the same if I had been like a YouTuber forever, and one of my good buddies who was also a YouTuber or a streamer or whatever, died horribly and tragically. It's the same as when what was it, Comic Storian? He died a few years back, a year or two ago, and I don't know if you watch him or Comics Explained or anything, but Rob hasn't been the same since Comic Storian died. I can't remember his real name off the top of my head, but Rob, he's been so different. He never used to be overly political or anything, and now he's dove into politics, and he's just which I understand. Like usually when you're mourning is when you get a little culty, and I have a horrible feeling these days. Are or aren't? Because there you go. I was like, why would you have a horrible feeling that these are a coincidence? Like, I don't know. Like if they had any kind of connection, sure. But I mean, people die, and it's sad. Like, especially, you don't know how much someone's suffering. Robin Williams is another good example, because their public persona is so happy and jovial that you never even suspect that they're dying inside. It's always the jokesters. Like myself, I've struggled with depression and all that stuff, and no one would ever tell who knows me in my real life, just because I'm always 100 miles an hour. No, you're good. I was like, surely she means aren't. Like, I knew what you meant, I just had to make sure.
And not only that, but they are advocating for openly, and you even have politicians advocating for openly, racial voting. They're saying, vote for this person because I'm going to help this community of people because I'm one of you. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't think that's a good thing to do. I think it's very bad.
I know, and I agree.
So yeah, I mean that's the truth.
Like if that's what you're voting for, like I understand that there's an abundance of old honkies in every governmental office, but I truly and sincerely, while we should, push for more non-white people to run for office and give them the opportunity, and the, pour money in, or not even money into the communities, just do something, okay? I don't know what it is. I don't know. I'm not huge on, like, I'm from a very small town, and you can even see it in my small town. There's 2 high schools, and they're on each side of town, and you can see where all the money's going. There needs to be something done to where they have the equal opportunities. Like, one school, the only thing they had besides your basic sports and band and a couple other things like that was like ROTC, a JROTC program, while the other school had debate and golf and tennis and all these extracurricular, like all these extra sports and all these other things. They had wood shop, they had automotive class. It was absolutely insane how much more, even because most people who, just are mechanics, I mean, some make a lot of money, but some, they can't even find jobs or barely make enough to skate by. It's a good, skill to have, and I'm not going to lie, I probably should have stayed at that school and instead of switching to the other one in hindsight, but 2020.
And I don't think that any of this, by the way, is unique to Somalia. Like, this isn't like, oh, wow, Somalians are bad and they're the only ones that are bad. They're not all bad, obviously, but whenever you allow a group of people to do something like this, you have to address it for what it is, obviously. And so the fact is that it's bad no matter who's doing it, but I think that because this is a minority immigrant group, that because of that, they're receiving extra defense.
Also, I'm sorry I don't always complete my thoughts. I go on tangents, and that'll make me think of this, and then I'll go there, and I'll go there, and I'll go there, and I'll forget what started me on that thing, so I'll just kind of awkwardly move on and hope nobody notices, but they do.
in the state of Minnesota, all presided over
Liberals
by
inviting foreign nationalists. There it is. Yep.
Governor Tim Walz. And out of one side of his mouth,
Yep.
Walz is trying to say, like, oh, we're going to fix it, and it's bad. Out of the other side of his mouth, he's like, well, it's really not that much. It's only tens of millions, according to his little minion there.
Oh, that's it.
And that means they are not ever going to be serious about this. They are perfectly comfortable with their taxpayers being robbed blind for political and identity reasons. And he
That's
just wants
completely
to
right.
get reelected next year.
Yeah.
So he wants to pretend like this is some sort of GOP witch hunt, when in fact, the prosecutor in this case, and we saw a bit in that clip from him. I just want to read one more quote from him, talking about why it is especially bad in Minnesota. Quote, Minnesota has become a magnet for fraud, so much so that we have developed a fraud tourism industry. People coming to our state purely to exploit and defraud its programs. This is a deeply
Those are the two guys, and this is happening even inside of the United
Wait, is that
States.
a thing you
this
could do?
isn't even Somalians. It's just two guys came from Pennsylvania that did this too. It's very clearly that like they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
unsettling reality.
That's how it is.
All Minnesotans should understand. It is so bad in Minnesota that people from around the world, it seems, are traveling there to steal from taxpayers, and that's the response we're seeing from the governor.
It's like Disneyland.
Pathetic.
You know, Joey, we invite the third world, and in return, they rob us blind. But that's such a nice, generous gift they've given back to us. I mean, Tim Walz has made a big thing.
To be fair, Tommy Lauren, isn't the third world where you got your hair extensions from?
About, don't say it's the Somalis, but when you look at the fraud, it was done by the Somali population. So he wants to make it about race.
Well, it was never happened. The thing is that the initial criticism of the fraud was about the fraud. But then they defended the criticism of the fraud with racism accusations. So they were the ones that brought up this entire idea that, oh, you're just targeting them because they're Somalian and making up this bullshit. So the fact is that you're right, that, you know, it's not necessarily it's racial. And like, yeah, they are there, but not like every Somalian is a scammer. Like, that's not the issue. But whenever you use a racial defense and you take the entire racial or ethnic group of people and you say that this is an attack on them, well, then that's going to make people think that it is. That's what's happening.
Let's make it about identity. The mayor there wants to eat Somali food.
Yeah,
and
they made it. They made it themselves about
I don't
identity.
care if the mayor's eating Somali food.
They did that to try to defend themselves.
I don't care.
almost throw up and say, I love the Somalis. But
It is funny that he almost threw up when he was eating it. I saw that video. But if he wants to eat their food as an outreach or whatever, I don't care. I do not care. Find something better to bitch about, Tommy.
I think they're understanding that we don't care because it's their race or their religion. We care because it's a group of
$9 million fucking dollars. $9 billion fucking dollars. Yeah.
people who are doing it. And to Guy's point, apparently they're doing it in a well-organized way, and they targeted this state for it.
Yeah, I don't care about their race. I do care about their country of origin. I mean, Rob O'Neill, if you don't know who he is the man who shot bin Laden. He put the book out. But before that, or after that, I'm not sure, he also was on the team that saved Captain Phillips.
Spit it out. There you go.
And he posted on X today, yeah, the Somalis are world famous for being pirates. Of course, they came here to steal and defraud us. He's like, it's
Oh, God.
part of their culture. I don't know how you call that racist. If it's true, it's true. I mean, I don't have to go back to Mogadishu to see these problems. But I will say this when it comes to...
Hold on. Is Mogadishu in Somalia? It would be funny if it wasn't. I just want to check real quick. Where's Mogadishu? Okay. Just making sure. I knew it was one of those countries near there, but it was
defeat from the jaws of victory. If it's a $1 billion scam, that's huge. If it's a $500 million scam,
That's massive.
That's
yeah, it's
huge.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope Joe Thompson knows exactly what he's talking about when he uses the $9 billion number, because I don't want Tim Walz and Democrats to have an argument at all to go back
Truth can still be racist. People talking about whether it's racist or not. I can promise you that trying to micromanage and tell people that they can't express certain opinions because you're going to call them racist, even if that opinion is accurate or people think that opinion is accurate, you can't just say that's racist and then somebody is going to be like, oh, okay, I guess I don't think that anymore.
Yeah, like you can't look. If you tag everyone who's pointing out that some of these Somalians, some, not all, are committing fraud in the state of Minnesota and doing all kinds of things in Dearborn, Michigan, and you just say that's racist, that's not a stop on the conversation. All you're going to do is shut these people up until they get together on the internet and then possibly radicalize, or even worse, go become a groyper with Nick Fuentes or something like that. You cannot shut down people's conversation, especially when they're right, just by calling them a racist or calling them this or calling them that. Okay? And you certainly, this is why I think free speech is so important, which is why the United States is now officially the only place that actually has free speech anymore. Is because we can talk about our politicians. We can't talk about hurting them, but we can talk about them. We can talk about how they're idiots or retards or they're doing this or they're doing that. We're the only country that you can do that anymore. You can't do it in Europe. I know Great Britain's in Europe, but it's not part of the EU technically anymore. You can't do it there. There are hundreds of people arrested every year in Germany, and I think there was some in Poland, the UK, several of these countries. You cannot talk about politicians in these countries. You can't even say that they're an idiot or they're doing this or they're doing that. Even if it's true. You can't say it or you'll be arrested. They'll come and they'll pull you out of your house in the middle of the fucking night like you're a narcotics dealer. I've seen it. They've had German people on, I think it was 60 Minutes, where they talked about this. They played videos of where they busted in their house at 3, 4 in the morning. Because they said naughty things on the internet. They said that the person who represents them is the blithering idiot. And they said it's even worse when you say it online, because when you say it online, it's technically there forever. These are giant waste of space, okay? These kids got bullied in school, which is I'm sorry for. I got bullied in school too. But it's no excuse for clawing your way to power and being a giant piece of shit when you're an adult. I don't care if it's legal in your country. It shouldn't be legal in your country. It shouldn't be legal in any Western country or any country for that matter. But do I think we express it a little too much? In some circumstances, sure. But that's our right, and you have the ability to turn it off. That's one of my favorite things that liberals used to say in the 90s when it came to censorship of TV and radio. If you don't like it, change the channel. Click on another video. You don't have to watch this. There are two things that I cannot stand. People who want to censor things. And then when I was working at the movie theater growing up, there was a movie called The Mexican that came out with Brad Pitt, and I want to say maybe it was like Julia Roberts or something. I can't remember. It's been a long time. It also had the guy that played Bernard the house elf. So we had this group of old people. It was about 4 or 5 of them that came and watched the movie. They waited till the end of the movie to come out and said, I had no idea there'd be that much profanity, or I didn't see a Mexican in that whole movie. And we're like, no, that's great and all, but did you have to finish the whole movie before you came out and said that you didn't want to watch the movie? Didn't you know it like an hour ago that you didn't want to finish this movie? We could have refunded you, but we're not going to refund you because you stayed for the whole movie and you didn't like it. Look, going to see any movie is a risk. You need to do a little investigation. And they said they didn't like the profanity and the violence. Literally in every trailer, every single trailer. And at this time, the internet was a thing, so you could have gone on there and watched the fucking trailer. I'm pretty sure. It might have been just before you could do that. But still, previews are on all kinds of movies. And the big movies, especially movies with Brad Pitt in the early 2000s, have the rated this because of this at the end on that big green screen that pops up at the front of every movie. Unless it's a red band trailer. But it said rated R for language and violence. But at the end of the day, don't be a fucking retard, okay? Just think, okay? It's okay to point things out that people are doing. It's not okay to be like, oh, all black people are like this or all gay people are like this, because they're not. I can guarantee you. Okay, I know for a fact not all trans people want kids to be transitioned. not all gay people want drag queen story hour. Okay, there's a lot that I know in my personal life who are very much against it, and they speak out, and they've kind of been ostracized from the community. It's been taken over mostly by bisexual white women. Yes, thank you and good night, retard. But no, look, we can accept that some things are more common in certain spheres, but we also have to accept that just because they're more common does not mean that those people speak for the entirety of the community. They always say the loudest wheel gets the grease, the squeakiest wheel gets the grease. But let's face it, the squeakiest wheel does not represent the entire shopping cart. Does it make the whole shopping cart suck? Yes. That's why you should get rid of it. But that's just how it is. There's white people on TV all the time that I'm just like, oh God, I hate that I share a skin color with this person. I mean, I don't say that. I do sometimes. It depends on the level of cringe. I'm gonna probably stream for a little longer tomorrow. I think I'm gonna try to squeeze in that Tectone video, but I think I have I'm gonna cover the Republican Civil War tomorrow. Another Nuxtaku video, just because it's fucking hilarious. But join me for that. I got a bolt. I haven't even gotten ready at all this morning, so I'm gonna go get ready real quick. But we'll see you tomorrow. I'm either gonna do that, or I might pop up with another idea that's fairly holiday based, but it depends on if I can get it together in time. If not, then we'll do the Republican Civil War, which is it's just hilarious, mostly because it's everyone I've never liked versus people that I'm okay with. But that's it for today, guys. Thank you for stopping by. Shapeshifter, always great to see the regulars in here. But yeah, y'all have a great